Welcome to Mackenzie's informative speech. Here are her spectators.
All right. As quoted by Tom Hartman, the mechanisms of healing are built into us. 5 million years of evolution, or the grace of God, or both, have made our bodies automatic healing machines. Why wouldn't the same be true of our minds and emotions? This quotation is an excerpt from the book Walking Your Blues Away, which details the study and practice of bilateral therapies. It's likely that many of you have practiced or even heard of bilaterality without realizing it. What is bilaterality? I'm sure most of you are wondering by now. As Hartman explains, bilaterality is the ability to have both the left and the right hemispheres of the brain fully functional and actively communicating with each other. So how does this relate to you and your life? What about me and my life? If you've ever struggled emotionally or with mental health, as I know I have personally, bilateral therapies are here to offer a less invasive and even simplistic way to heal your mind. I've studied this topic extensively and applied it to my own struggle with post-traumatic stress disorder. Throughout my diagnosis, I constantly looked for alternatives to medication therapy. I was open to anything that could help speed up my recovery process. Finding bilateral therapies and even applying them to my daily life allowed me to take my recovery into my own hands instead of letting the trauma control my life. Throughout this speech, you will gain knowledge on why bilaterality is so important, how it can be applied to benefit your physical health, and how it can be applied strategically to improve your mental health as well. Bilaterality is important for many reasons. Many of us are already aware that there are two different hemispheres in the brain, the left and the right, each controlling its own unique functions in the body. The right side of the brain is typically known to control the left side of your body. The left side of your brain is typically known to control the right side of your body. The right side of the brain, or hemisphere, controls facial recognition, visual imagery, and most of our emotions. The left side of our brain roughly controls our language and logic. Having both sides of the brain work together simultaneously is called dual hemispheric functioning and can be demonstrated simply by walking. People with a hemispheric imbalance, such as would be seen from a stroke, can be detached from normal emotion processes and even lack the ability to be empathetic towards others. Research has shown that even societies can have a hemispheric imbalance. One of the activities of the left brain is learning to read, and since we start doing that at such a young age in civilization, that can cause us to be hemispherically imbalanced from a really young age. Research has shown that even societies that do have a hemispheric imbalance tend to be more violent and unstable. The remedy to this is simple and one that we are evolutionarily designed to do: walking. Walking is considered regular bilateral stimulation, and we can benefit from this not only as a person but as a society as well. Bilaterality can benefit your physical health. Since walking is considered a bilateral activity, one that uses both sides of our brain simultaneously, this is something that can be incorporated easily into daily activity. The staff at Mayo Clinic states that physical activity doesn't need to be complicated. Something as simple as a daily brisk walk can help you live a healthier life. The Center for Disease Control recommends taking 5 30-minute walks per week to increase cardiovascular health and lowering your risk for heart disease. Walking is something that most of us do mindlessly throughout our day, whether we're at work, shopping, or even getting the mail. We walk from place to place, around the house, or even with our pets. These are all opportunities for us to apply bilateral techniques throughout our day. When applied correctly, as the CDC states, not only can walking improve cardiovascular health, but it can also improve our physical physique. Bilateral therapies can be used to improve mental and emotional health. To understand how bilateral therapies can be used to heal our minds, it's first important to understand the mechanism of trauma and how it sticks in our minds. It's commonly believed that everything we experience throughout one day is stored in the hippocampus, which is a part of our brain. For these experiences to become long-term memories, they must be passed through the hippocampus into the rest of the brain. If a memory or experience is too much for the hippocampus to store or process, it presents in our subconscious as a dream. From there, it becomes stuck in the subconscious or is returned to the hippocampus again in the morning. So that's why people that have post-traumatic stress disorder commonly feel like their trauma is right in front of them or constantly in their minds. Bilateral therapies are helpful in regard to healing because these activities stimulate both sides of the brain equally, forcing both sides of the brain to take turns processing information. So, in other words, both sides of the brain have to share responsibility for healing. It's important to actively think and remember the traumatizing event while practicing a bilateral therapy. This is key to healing. This allows the hippocampus to function with the two hemispheres simultaneously, which allows the processing that would normally happen during sleep to instead happen while you're wide awake. Like the title of the book, Walking Your Blues Away is also a technique that the author developed and applied to walking and can be done by anyone, anywhere, at any time. The most important part of this technique is called walking with the issue. This requires us, the walkers, to very literally hold the issue out in front of us. So what the book describes is focusing on keeping the issue at hand out in front of us as if we're looking at it. So if we're walking using both sides of our brain, we're supposed to hold the issue out front. Focus on it, think about it constantly while walking, and that allows our brain to process it actively. Holding the thought in front of us allows us to keep our mind focused on the issue, minimize the distractions, and provides the environment that allows for the issue to either completely resolve, change its shape, or even flattened, and at least not be in the forefront of our thoughts anymore. Other common and noteworthy forms of bilateral therapies used in healing of the mind are art therapy and EMDR, which stands for eye movement desensitization and reprocessing, which is becoming more commonplace. In conclusion, bilateral therapies are a vital way to maintain and improve both mental and physical health and can be as simple as walking with your thoughts. This concept doesn't have to be complicated and can be applied to your daily life as you see fit. Before this speech, we all knew that walking was good for our bodies, our hearts, and our overall health. Who would have thought that this everyday thoughtless activity could be used to change your mindset, your body, and even your state of well-being? As Friedrich Nietzsche states, never trust a thought that didn't come by walking.